Welcome back to High Stakes. Today, we will be discussing the following NFL matches that is happening on Sunday, September 17, 2023. We will be providing our team, total and prop picks for the day. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. If you want access to our premium picks, you can check out our Patreon page. You can find the link to our Patreon page in the description and comments section below. I'm inclined to pick the home team, the Titans, in this matchup. The Titans are up against the Chargers, who are coming off a loss at home against the Dolphins in a high-scoring game. When analyzing the Chargers' previous game, it's clear that the Dolphins' pass rush was a significant problem for them. The Dolphins emerged as the superior team, and the final score didn't accurately reflect the gap between the two teams. The Chargers had opportunities to put the game away but couldn't capitalize on them. Turning to the Tennessee Titans, their Week 1 loss to the Saints was in line with the type of game they are built for, a low-scoring, grinded-out affair. The Titans rely on Derrick Henry's running and strong defensive play. While this year's Titans team may lack some of the star-studded personnel from previous seasons, Derrick Henry's presence is always a game-changer. In football, at all levels, college, high school, and the pros, it ultimately boils down to running the football and playing solid defense. The Titans consistently excel in these areas. As for the Chargers, it seems they continue to struggle. Coach Staley, despite receiving praise, hasn't been able to turn things around. The Chargers appear headed for another disappointing season. Justin Herbert faced considerable pressure in the pocket during their last game, which is likely to be noticed by Titans coach Brabble. Herbert's decision-making in the late stages of the game also hurt the Chargers. Additionally, the absence of Austin Eckler could further disrupt the Chargers' offense. Although they have talented wide receivers and decent defensive players, their coaching remains a concern. In contrast, the Titans seem to have a more solid coaching foundation. Our total pick is under 45 points. The Chargers scored 34 points in their first game. They averaged 19 points per game in their last 3 games against the Titans. They throw the ball well and will be able to move it against a Titan secondary that gave up over 300 yards in the first game and also gave up over 300 yards when they played last season. But their defense played well last season and picked up where they left off by holding the Saints to 16 points in their last game, so don't expect the Chargers to score 30 points in this game. The Titans scored 15 points in their first game. They averaged 18.6 points per game in their last 3 games against the Chargers. They don't throw the ball well, but they have a very good ground game. Even though the Chargers gave up 36 points in their last game, they played well against the run, so don't expect the Titans to score enough points to push the score over the total. The Chargers and Titans played under the total in 3 of their last 5 meetings. Green Bay Packers vs Atlanta Falcons. I'm leaning towards the Atlanta Falcons in this matchup against the Green Bay Packers with a -2-point spread. The Falcons kicked off their season with a 24-10 victory over the Carolina Panthers in their last game. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers had an impressive 38-20 win in their first game, with Jordan Love taking the reins. Although starting the season with back-to-back road games is usually challenging, the Packers made it look relatively easy in Week 1, especially in the second half when they scored 4 touchdowns, including a pick-6. It's worth noting that Jordan Love threw 3 touchdowns in that game, indicating that the Packers have a solid offensive unit. The question is whether he learned enough from Aaron Rodgers during his time as the backup. While it's typically unwise to bet against the Packers when they're underdogs, my focus is on the Falcons. They weren't severely tested in Week 1, facing a struggling Carolina Panthers team that had a lackluster preseason. The Panthers managed only 127 passing yards and 154 rushing yards. Despite this, I remain optimistic about the Falcons going forward. It's crucial not to overreact to the results of Week 1, and I believe this Atlanta team has a lot of potential. I'm particularly excited about their offense, led by Arthur Smith and featuring Desmond Ridder, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and even Tyler Algier. In a wide-open NFC South this season, I expect the Atlanta offense to shine. While this game could go either way, I have some reservations about Green Bay's run defense, as they allowed the Chicago Bears to have success on the ground in their last game. The Bears rushed for 122 yards, averaging just under 4 yards per carry. I believe the Atlanta Falcons could perform even better in this aspect. So, my pick is to go with Atlanta, either taking the -2 points or considering the money line. This should be an exciting matchup to watch in the NFC South this season. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Go with under 40.5 points before some Green Bay offensive weapons are ruled out. This is one of the smaller totals for the entire Week 2, and there is a reason. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, and Aaron Jones, if healthy, will be able to keep the clock going. Green Bay went 9 of 16 on third down tries, while Atlanta was a putrid 2 of 10 on those situations, so there are going to be more 3-and-outs than people want to believe. These defenses have shown the ability to control games and have a lot of talent to slow down these young skilled players. I recommend taking the Houston Texans with a -1 point spread in this game. Stroud could not log a touchdown in his NFL debut, but he finished with 242 yards and a 61% completion rate. The Texans could move the ball but came up short twice in the red zone. Houston won the turnover battle, and their defense held Baltimore to 60% in the red zone. Rookie C.J. Stroud put together a solid performance in his rookie debut, but there were certainly concerns to be addressed. The Ravens have a decent pass rush, but Stroud still held onto the ball too long in the pocket, and as a result, he was sacked 4 times, including one that ended in a fumble. Dameon Pierce led the charge on the ground, but he was largely limited, including getting stopped on 4th and 1. The offense also sputtered on third down and could only move the chains on 38% of their tries. This was in large part due to the Texans being well behind the sticks, but also because the Texans simply couldn't get anything going on the ground, being held to just 3.1 yards per carry. Playing from behind forced the Texans to air the ball out likely more than they would have preferred going into the game, but nonetheless, it gave Stroud some solid reps. Stroud found the most success tossing to Nico Collins and veteran Robert Woods. They each posted lines of 6 to 80-0 and 6 to 57-0, respectively. Houston's defense only gave up 265 total yards, and they did well to frustrate Lamar Jackson in the season opener, but they allowed Baltimore 5 trips inside the red zone. The ground defense didn't give up any explosive run plays, despite being run on for nearly 56% of Baltimore's plays. Lamar Jackson broke for the longest run for Baltimore on the afternoon, which is worth noting considering Richardson has a similar profile to Jackson in that he is mobile and a tough player to bring down. Through the air, they allowed a few plays over 20 yards, but limited the Ravens to no touchdowns through the air. What helped the pass defense was the Texans' ability to get to the backfield as they accounted for 4 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. They look to bring that pressure again here against a still untested rookie in Richardson. While it's never easy to support a team in a clear rebuilding phase, the Texans will be facing a team similar to their Week 1 opponent. They performed well against the run and contained their opponent's quarterback, which they should be able to replicate against the Colts with Richardson. The Colts have uncertainties in their backfield with Dean Jackson's fumbles and Zach Moss recovering from a broken arm. Indianapolis struggled on third downs, and given the Texans' solid ground defense in their first game, I anticipate a continuation of this trend. Look for C.J. Stroud to secure his first NFL win at home. Regarding the over-under, I suggest taking the under on 39.5 points. Both teams are coming off Week 1 losses by double digits, featuring highly anticipated rookie quarterbacks making their debuts. Anthony Richardson had a decent debut for the Colts in a 31-21 loss to the Jaguars. Indianapolis was competitive for much of the game, making it a 14-14 contest early in the third quarter. Richardson posted respectable stats, including 223 passing yards, a touchdown, an interception, and a rushing touchdown. On the other hand, the Houston Texans suffered a 25-9 defeat to the Baltimore Ravens, and it was a challenging debut for C.J. Stroud, who couldn't throw a touchdown and relied on field goals for points. While the Texans kept the Ravens close in the first half, Baltimore eventually pulled away. Both teams have solid defensive units, and it's likely to be a low-scoring affair. Houston's defense held up well in the first half against Baltimore, and the Colts' defense made life difficult for Trevor Lawrence in their game. Given that both quarterbacks are relatively inexperienced, I expect a defensive battle in this matchup. So, my pick is to go with the under 39.5 points. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already.